Hi everyone, I'm Lori Jennifer. Thank you so much for being here today. I have a very special guest with me.
Hi, my name is Grace.
This is my daughter, and she's here to share her experiences being the younger sibling of a transgender kid. And Grace, thank you so much for being here. Are you comfortable talking about this?
Yeah, 100%.
Good. And why do you think that this is, why did you want to be in this video with me?
I just think it's important to talk about.
Good. Yeah, I think so too. So I have a couple of questions for you. If you decide you don't want to answer any of them or you're not sure, that's okay too. All right. So my first question, very important question. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm 9 years old and I like to do arts and crafts.
Yeah, you're a really good artist. You actually make some things that I think adults would be like, I don't know how to do this. Like your three-dimensional artwork. You make cardboard houses. You made a replica of our house out of cardboard. You do stuff with clay. What's the craft that we just started trying to do together?
Crochet.
We're trying to learn how to crochet together. So it's very new for both of us, but we're working on it. So you're very crafty. You're very artistic. You're very funny too. You're a cool kid. So I'm glad you're here. And I appreciate you taking time and talking to me about this. I think it's important too. So my first question, and this is kind of a big question to ask a kid, but what do you remember about the time that Michael began to transition? First of all, let me just say something and I'll let you answer. When Michael started to transition, Grace was almost 3 years old. So there's not a whole lot of long-term memory even formed there at that age. So Grace is kind of always, for the most part, known that her brother is transgender. But I do know that you have some memories of before he started to transition. So what is one of the memories, or more than one if you want to share a few, of when Michael started?
So I just remember one day, he got his first haircut, and I just remember he scared me because I thought it was a completely different person, and it just scared me because I was 2 or 3, so I couldn't recognize him. But yeah.
I remember that day. I actually talked about it in one of my other videos. That haircut was a very big deal because it was the first time that Michael's outsides began to match who he was on the inside. First time that he really started to feel more comfortable with his appearance. And you, when I was out with Michael getting the haircut, you were home with Daddy. And then I came in with Michael and he walked into, I think you were both by the piano. You were in the living room, right? Daddy was playing the piano. And you looked up at Michael and you started to cry. And you described it, you were like, who is this, right? And I think it was even once you realized who it was kind of a big change for you. And because you were only 3 years old, you were so little, not even 3 yet. It was before your 3rd birthday. But I don't know if you remember this, but there was one question that you asked me when you were really little. So I'm going to share it with you if that's okay. And we'll see if you remember asking me this. But I think I was sitting in that big yellow rocking chair with you, reading a book to you one night, and you were trying to go to sleep. And you said to me, Mommy, am I going to turn into a boy too? And I had said, no, you're not going to turn into a boy. Michael didn't turn into a boy. He was always a boy. We didn't know it. But that was really the only time that I think you seemed any kind of upset or worry or stressed about the situation outwardly. That's what I saw in you, was the first time you saw him with the haircut, and then that one question, what's going to happen to me? So it's going to happen to me too, which is a great question you were a very wise and mature little kid. All right, good. So you ready for the next question?
I just kind of feel Michael, I need a break from you for 5 minutes, and we just walk away from each other.
Yeah, and that's really smart. And that's owning that power of I'm uncomfortable in this situation, so I will remove myself for a break, right? And then come back, and then we'll continue interacting. And I think that's a really good way that you handle it, very mature. How do you feel when you get to do that with Michael? Do you feel a little bit better?
I'm yes. I did it.
Yeah, you owned it and you did what you needed to do to feel okay. So that was very good. All right, here's another kind of similar question, but on a more positive note. What are the good parts of having a transgender sibling?
Just kind of if you don't feel good about your gender, you can always go to Michael and say I'm not really sure if whatever gender you are.
So like Michael's very open. He knows a lot about stuff. Yeah, I think that actually, Grace, that is one of the things that has made my life way better too, is that I'm more comfortable talking about gender. I'm more comfortable talking about anything because we realized, I think I learned, and Daddy has learned, that sometimes these conversations that maybe we think are going to be difficult or uncomfortable, it's really not once you realize like everybody has gender, right? There's people who are agender, so they don't feel one or the other, but that's their gender. Everybody has gender. So talking about that stuff is pretty cool. And I think when you are with somebody who's transgender, typically maybe it's like just more comfortable, like being who you are a little bit, whatever that means, right? Okay, so I have 2 more questions. Is this still getting uncomfortable? All right. So what does the word ally mean to you?
Just kind of like a person that supports like an LGBTQ person.
Do you think of yourself as an ally? Yeah, I think you're an ally. Do you remember when we were really little and you made a video about being an ally? Yeah. I agree with you. I think being an ally is like showing support for the person in your life or people in general that are LGBTQ+. And I also think being an ally is like standing up for people and standing up for people's rights. And I think, being open and being like a safe person, that's really important. And I know that you're like that. And I think your friends will benefit from that in the future because people can come to you, right? And not feel like you're going to be judging or they don't have to worry about telling you parts about themselves, right? Very good. All right. So my last question is there anything else that you want people to know?
Just kind of like always be kind to one another and treat people how you want to be treated.
Very nice. Thank you so much. This went so quickly because I was having such a good time with you. So, thank you, Grace, for being here. You really are just like such a cool ally. You have always been a cool ally. You are definitely like a safe person. You don't judge people. You're comfortable talking about things. And I think that you are making the world a much better place by being loving and good and kind. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us.